Hello and welcome to Das Nostalgia Podcast, episode 27. As usual, I'm your host, Anatoly, and today with me, I have a very special guest, returning guest, for your listening pleasure. Sir, please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Dmitry Bachilo from Russia. I am a video blogger, and I create content about DOS stuff, but not only, because, retro gaming is so huge, but yeah, I think that MS-DOS stuff is one of my favorite stuff, so I am naturally always dreaming about making a podcast with you, Anatoly. So this is our second time,
Yes.
and I really enjoy your company, so thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime, sir. I'm always happy when guests return, which doesn't happen all that often, so but I'm happy to have you back. I always want to talk to you about different topics, and we seem to never really be able to come up with a topic to talk about. But today we actually have a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, I think it's very broad.
Outside of the usual scope of my podcast, but also very related at the same time, I'd say. So we decided to talk about just being a retro technology centered content creator, I guess it's what it's called, and everything that entails.
There's a lot to talk about it.
There is, for sure.
I think modern video bloggers are so, they are having an easy life because everything is made for them to exist. There are so many so many technical,
it's
things.
True. From a technical level, things are a lot easier.
Yeah, and we are having such a hard life about it. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, my viewers and listeners might not be familiar with you so much, just because you are doing what a lot of Russian people are asking me to do for some reason, is to have a video blog in Russian, which I refuse to do, but you gladly embrace, and I love your blog. I have told you many times. I'm going to just kiss your ass now for 5 minutes, but it's I love the blog. I love everything you do. Everything is very informative. I watch every video, no matter what it is, and I am very envious of people who are willing to put that amount of energy into anything, the amount of energy that I surely lack, especially people who are not familiar with Dmitry's work. Here's a sort of a short summary of one of the recent videos. That's not to embarrass you, but really, that's the extent. So you just wanted to say something about a certain thing that you got in the mail, which a tweet would have sufficed, really.
Exactly.
Right? But you realized that only a lot of sort of that one sentence would have needed a lot of baggage to be understood. A lot of background information, and probably would have been understood by 3 people, maybe less. And
yeah, exactly.
And instead of just tweeting that one thing and waiting for the 3 people to hit which is what I would have done.
Yeah.
You have decided to make... How long was that video? Because you've provided, before you said that thing that you wanted to say, you provided all the information needed
I would say it's not about the lengths of video. It's rather about me creating a huge video and researching stuff
Yes,
for
it's
like
like a
a
lot
week.
of research. Exactly. So
Yeah, for like a week to just create an explanation of the stuff I want to say in one sentence.
exactly. So
That was funny even for me. So yeah.
instead of being like a throwaway whatever, which is something that I'm pretty good at, Dmitry actually made a choice to educate people. So, which is very admirable, and I love it. And I wish everybody would be doing that. But
The only thing I want to comment about it is just that I always am against of when people say I am an educational
yeah, I
creator.
understand.
I always refuse to acknowledge that because I am creating very entertaining stuff. I hope so, and I prefer it to stay. To just be an entertainment show because it's just too much of
Responsibility.
yeah,
Yeah, I understand. It's
responsibility.
the same thing. I don't bill myself every time somebody introduces me as, God forbid, a historian. I back off as fast
Yeah,
as
exactly.
fast
Yeah,
as
I
I
know what you
can,
said.
because I am not a historian at all.
You see, we were already discussing the topic with this. We decided to discuss because, yeah, this is one of the hugest problems. People always think that you are some kind of a professor, which making his lections, and
Yeah, right.
they are already judging you for not being 100%, accurate and stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You are.
we'll get to that. Oh,
Yeah.
or
So
dear Lord. But I actually wanted to ask you, since most of my viewers and listeners are not going to be familiar with your work, to just sort of quickly summarize, like, when did you start your, well, one of your first sort of like content creation project? What were your inspirations?
Oh, yeah. So my inspiration, I think the existence of internet was my inspiration because I used to be a blogger for like, forever
Mm-hmm.
since I had got um, to the internet connection. I think it was like in 1998 or maybe even 1997. I don't even remember at this point. But yeah, the first thing I wanted to have is like a homepage because everybody had homepages in 90s.
Right.
And nobody cared about it, of course. And I used to have different homepages because I used to do, well, different stuff, which I, thought was entertaining and interesting to someone. I apparently was wrong. And then I had a usual text block in LiveJournal. So I had some readers, some followers, as we call it today, but it was like I knew them all. It was, well, they were my friends in real life. So
Right.
basically, this wasn't something I couldn't discuss with them in person. So this blog was more for me than for anyone else. And then it came to 2006 when I discovered, videos in the internet, which was like amazing because I used to do the, Web 1.0, which
Right.
consists of
Yeah.
text and pictures that load for 12 hours. And yeah, when you sit in the internet the whole night and see 12 women through the whole night and watching some porn outside and stuff. Okay, I'm just discussing the speed of the internet.
Yes.
So yeah, then it came to videos, which was very new for me. And then I saw all these people talking about nostalgia stuff and computer stuff. And I decided that, well, if I am making the blog already, why don't I try making it a video blog? The YouTube back then had a limitation of 10 minutes,
Yes.
so it was out of the question. And I decided to switch to the local video, hosting, which was called RootTube. It still exists. It was actually created by the creators of Comedy Club Russia for, placing their records there because of the same reason. YouTube was not basically available for
Right.
us for this length of times. So yeah, they created a video hosting, made it public, and I created my first video there, not expecting to have more views than just a couple, and they were supposed to come from my friends, but I was amazed. I created a video called, well, It Tech Doom Engine, I think. It was in Russian, but roughly it translates like that. So yeah, I was explaining how Doom Engine works, because this was a type of content which basically didn't exist back then, at least in Russian.
Yeah, that's the important part. It didn't exist in English either. Like,
well, yeah, I don't think I have found it back then, so that's what I did. I just recorded a video using my very shitty web camera, and I put it on YouTube, and suddenly I had like, well, a couple of hundreds of views, which was amazingly huge amount of views for me back then. And I thought, well, that is interesting for someone, so maybe I should create more. The first thing I did, I went to some, technical store and bought a camera which cost, well, it I don't remember how much it was
probably a
priced.
lot.
Well, probably, I think I remember it was twice as big as my salary, my
Jesus
month's
Christ.
salary. So yeah, I bought it, and there I was. I was making videos about old computer stuff, which became quite popular. And it was strange for me that I'm creating a content in my native language, which is not English, and I still get tons of views, and that was very interesting. And I decided, well, that's what I want to do, at least for a while. So I am a content creator for like 10 years, almost 10 years now.
More than 10
and
years.
It seems to go well. Well, if we won't count all the troubles that we go through as content creators, everything is not that bad. So yeah, that's my backstory.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And let this be a lesson to anyone who's listening. It's fairly easy to fill a niche of some sort. Like, here's the thing. Like, my motivation for creating my channel was kind of the same. I saw, like, I started slightly later, a couple of years after, and AVGN already existed, right? And all the AVGN sort of like things that AVGN spawned, but they were all sort of the same kind of things, very much imitating the style. And I wasn't after the style imitators. I just was waiting, when is somebody's going to talk about old DOS games? I know people are out there, and eventually I got tired of waiting, and I was like, why don't, all right, if nobody's going to talk about it, I will have to do that. And I never nailed the format down really to this day, but I started doing it, and because, well, at the time also nobody else was doing it, and that's really like around like this early days, I got a lot of exposure just for being one of the first people to do it. Which is why I always encourage people to talk about something. Like, if you have something to talk about and you feel that nobody is doing that, just do it yourself. I guarantee you there are other people who are also waiting for that content to happen, and they're also not talking about it. They're just waiting. Those are the people who are going to listen and watch, whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree, because actually when people ask me why have I started all this, video creating, I prefer to answer that I am creating the stuff I want to see myself.
See, exactly.
Yeah, so I am creating it just for it to exist, and I can say that it actually works. I see a lot of people that don't say openly that, yeah, we are trying to do what Dmitry does, but it is quite obvious that people were inspired by my work. And of course I admire it, but actually the main thing that I get from it is the satisfaction that finally I can watch something not done by me
That's not you.
and what interests me. So yeah, it actually works. Just do what you want to see, and then you'll see it.
Yeah.
Other people will do stuff that
Exactly.
you will like,
I am
and that's great.
actually quite happy that, because when I started all of this stuff and when you started all of your stuff, there was nothing else like it, and I am very happy that now I can actually do a YouTube search for all kinds of things that are DOS related, and see all kinds of videos, reviews, and technology tryouts and unboxings and whatnot, like all the stuff that 10 years ago I would have never have seen on the internet.
Yeah.
And I'm very content with that. Like, I don't have to be doing all of that. I'm just there to see the stuff that somebody
Yes,
else
you
has
like
done.
to say, what a time to be alive.
Yes, absolutely.
Really, YouTube is like a substitute for all the rest of the internet for me right now, because
Yeah.
I can search everything
Well,
I want, and
you and
there it is.
You and everyone else, really.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So if anybody told you in the year 2006 that you'll still be doing it 12 years later, would you believe them?
Well, that would be fascinating for me, because actually, when I started, I never realized that I could succeed with that. You know, what most people, I think, will know who will listen to this podcast is that I actually once left and I just destroyed my account on
Yes.
YouTube. I was sure, very sure, I was positive that
That was the end.
the hype that spawned, of course, wouldn't last for more than like 2 weeks. And people who said, "Come on, Dmitry, come back," they will just disappear in 2 weeks, and everyone will switch to someone else.
Right.
But that didn't happen in a month, in a half a year, in a year. And I was actually very surprised and touched by it. So I decided to come back and start creating from scratch, basically. So I recreated my account, but all my videos, they were basically gone. So I started from scratch. Later, people, well, they saved my work. They created their own alternative video channels and uploaded my stuff there. So you can still find it in the internet, but not on my channel. Well, most of it. So that was strange, touching, surprising, and it was very inspiring. And of course, so if you ask me, would I believe it in 2006? I wouldn't believe it in 2012.
Okay.
That was strange, and I am very, how do I say it? I forgot this. I keep forgetting English. So, yeah, I am very grateful to all of my fans who are, they're not just random viewers who found the video, watched it, and forgot. No, it's not. It doesn't work like that. There are people who are true fans who really like what I do, and there are a lot of fans of other people I watch. So this is more than just some blog, some video instructions to do anything. That's a really new culture where I don't know where I will be in like 10 years.
Right.
And everything is possible. So if someone will tell me that I will still be doing that, I would believe him. And if someone will tell me that I will stop in a month, I still believe him, because everything is possible. This is a very strange time. Very strange things are happening. But I'm quite happy with where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I mean, a community is for sure a big part of it. I mean, let's face it. I maybe don't talk about it often enough. Like I always say, I do always tell how I created DOS Nostalgia, right? But I never really touch on why that often. And the reason why was
Yes.
when I moved to the States is people ask me if it's for some kind of a software preservation or blah 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 blah. And it's yes, part of it is now. But like 12 years ago, or like 13, 14 years ago when I first got the idea but didn't do anything about it, um my my motivation was I wanted to talk to people about DOS games. That's literally all there was. Like I moved to the United States, and I played, as you know, I've played a lot of DOS games growing up in Russia. And I moved and understood that things are quite different in this part of the world, where consoles reigned supreme and PCs were not as popular. Nobody knew what the fuck I was talking about when I brought up DOS games. At least most people didn't. Some did, but most didn't. But I knew from reading, the press and everything that some of those games sold, hundreds and thousands and millions of copies. So I knew there were people out there. They were just not within my immediate circle. And that's what the internet did. I really started DOS Nostalgia so I could talk to people. And that's actually what Twitter did for me. Like I because everybody was doing the YouTube thing, I also did the YouTube thing, but I actually don't get much of an interaction on YouTube. It's more, well, we'll get to the interaction on YouTube, but the majority of it is like great video, thumbs up. That's not much of the interaction that I want. I wanted to hear other people's stories. I really didn't want to hear me talk. I wanted to, that's actually the reason I'm doing the podcast, is I want to talk to other people about their experiences. And I never really got to that until I got to Twitter. And that's when I started getting a lot of feedback. And so essentially I fulfilled my original DOS Nostalgia's original purpose is to hear people. And it's very sort of empowering to sort of, I guess, to start a conversation that other people are having about something that you like, and certainly that's what keeps me going. Like I know, like when I'm working on the video that I know will probably have some kind of a more vocal response from the audience, I am always excited to work on it and actually finish it, because, well, I might. Well, now I ruined it, but I was going to say I'm going to gently pivot to another part of the things, the actual production part. Because how do you feel? Because your videos are often, let's say they're, because there are channels on YouTube, right, that you watch and you're just like, how are those videos that polished? Like I am just amazed by the amount of effort it takes to create some of those videos, and I don't put that much effort into my videos, and yet I can still legitimately say I find them just a total pain in the ass to make. Like, it's anybody who thinks, oh, making videos is making videos, it's whatever, you just click a few buttons and you're done. Please be assured that this is not so, and it's super frustrating, and most importantly, it's not in any way fun. Like, in fact, it's the opposite. And I personally, this is my thing, by the time I'm done with the video, I don't ever want to look at it, like, ever again. And usually, like, the last, like, quarter of the way through being done with the video is just me angrily staring at the screen, dreaming of it being over. I don't know if it's the same for you. Do you care to talk about it?
Well, first of all, I want to say I know exactly what you are talking about, because, yeah, this is the exact same thoughts I am having when I am creating a video. I am trying to make it as easy as possible for myself, but it always becomes a nightmare, basically.
Always.
You were talking about your experience, and I actually think it's very unique. I am following you on Twitter, and when you say you are mostly on Twitter and you are making less videos on YouTube, I think it's just great. I think that what you are doing on Twitter is actually even harder. I really believe so, because Well, for me, it's very hard to make something on an everyday basis. So I am making videos. Sometimes it's, 3 in a row, 3 days, 3 videos. But then it can be like a month of nothing because it's just hard for me to focus on one thing because, well, things happen.
Right.
And I assume that you are just a normal person which also have a life full of changes. So it's hard for you to, being a blogger on an everyday basis, but you are, and I actually envy because
no, trust me, you're overestimating me so much. Like, I do the Twitter thing because it's easy for me, and I feel very lazy about it, and that's what I love about the immediacy of Twitter. Like, oh, I was at work on a break, and I literally just thought about the Quake soundtrack, and I'm at the point in my life where I can be like, go on Twitter that very second on my phone and be like, by the way, 99% of tweeting I do is from my phone. And I can be like, oh, what about Quake soundtrack? And I can be assured that at least a few hundred people at that very moment will actually have something to say about Quake soundtrack to me. And I find that effortless. Like, it doesn't take anything to think about the fucking Quake soundtrack and then go on your phone and be like, oh, but what about Quake soundtrack? Oh, here's a YouTube link that I just found 2 seconds ago. It's trust me, it's not hard to do that on a daily basis.
You are underestimating the value of the stuff because I want to do the same thing. I want to be on Twitter every day. I want to tweet stuff that is interesting for at least for a couple of hundred people. I can do it. It's just hard for me. I can't come up with stuff on everyday basis for so many years as you do. So I know this conversation is get carried away a little, but trust me, even if it's easy for you, it doesn't mean that it's not unique and important. All of the stuff that you do is important.
Listen, I'm glad people listen. Every day I'm surprised by how many people actually do listen and stuff, and what comes out of it. I mean, like, as a result of Twitter, I got real life friendships and went to events and stuff like this. It's absolutely crazy because I do think of Twitter as that thing, like, and Twitter is also not permanent. You tweet something and it's gone.
Well, yes.
For the most part. And I do a lot of, like, necro tweeting, as it's known. I retweet my old stuff, mostly because I am not first of all, I forget things all the time. And secondly, I'm not exactly, I always say, like, get, like, two years worth of my tweets, like, do, like, a pattern search on them, sort of do, like, an AI recognition of things. And, like, after I die, you can just, like, pipe back an algorithm that generates things just based on the 2 years worth of my life, and it will probably be very convincing. I can just tweet from beyond the grave because I am very repetitive and not very attentive. So
yeah, I know exactly what you talk about, but still, I am enjoying your Twitter like on everyday basis, and this is important. That the stuff that you do is important. It's important for me at least. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Whatever, if it is hard for you or not, I'm enjoying it. So
yeah,
keep up the work.
I definitely found at least something that was easy for me, which is what making video. Let's circle back to the original thing, which making videos is not easy. It's a pain in the ass, and my videos are never long. Like, I know I see videos on YouTube. Very few of my videos are over. Like, I think I'm averaging, like, for like the review, sort of the topical videos, I average maybe like 7-8 minutes, like not even 10 most of the time. And they're so hard to make. And they're not really technically complicated. They just take so much time, and it's very frustrating. Which I have nothing but, like, I like movies. That's another thing people don't particularly know about me. Like, people think of me, I think I maybe project that image, or people just sort of take it from following me across different social networks, is like I'm this person who's absolutely crazy about DOS games and thinks of nothing else. But in reality, that's of course is not the case. And in fact, I am more passionate about other topics, believe it or not, than I am about DOS games, specifically actually about movies. But I don't talk about movies and don't have a channel dedicated to movies because 50 million other people talk about movies and they do it better than I do. There's no niche for me to fill. Somebody else is doing it better than I ever could. So I just leave it to them and I just listen. But the thing is, I gained so much respect for movie editors because I know how hard it is to just shittily edit like a 6-minute video and how demanding it must be to edit a feature film. I cannot even fathom or imagine.
And all the stuff, this technical stuff that we have now, it can't be even compared to the stuff that those editors had when they edited our favorite movies. So yeah,
editing in videos is not fun. It's terrible. It's
frustrating.
It's very slow. It's a very slow process.
It's very tiring.
And that's why it's tiring, because it takes up so much time. You sit down and you have like an idea of this 5-minute video, and it seems perfectly simple in your head, and you already done all the stuff at this point. You've recorded a narration, you've recorded yourself, you have all the footage, and you're like, you're just gonna take an hour or two putting things together for like a 5-minute video. Fast forward to like 2 days later, you're like swearing, trying to cut together the last minute, and that's what it always ends up being. It's never like you thought about it and you thought it's going to take 2 hours, you sat down and it takes 2 hours and you're done. That never ever happens.
Never ever. And then it comes to rendering, which also could be a very surprising moment.
I just leave it all overnight. It's only frustrating when you watch it after you're tired of after you never want to watch it ever again. You have to watch the whole thing just to make sure that there's no errors, and if there is one, then of course there's
just for your information, I used to render my first season of 16 bits ago with a computer which actually had faulty RAM. So basically, rendering was never done from the first take.
Right.
So yeah, I had lost so many brain cells with this machine before replacing it finally. So yeah, rendering was also very frustrating for me. But somehow I managed to go through editing, through writing, then recording, then editing with only 1 day of work.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like I remember when I just started, like the first 2 months, I just like fired one after another, and then you start in your head establishing standards for yourself, and that's what brings you down.
Yeah. You're becoming more creative, basically.
You're becoming more creative and also more demanding to yourself only and nobody else. And like at the end, you just like these podcasts. I'm looking at the waveform and I'm already thinking that I'm gonna cut half of it by hand. Like I could have probably just used the filter and stuff, but who knows? Maybe I'll try for the first time ever in my life to not edit the podcast by hand. But who knows?
Yeah, and there goes all the fun, and it becomes
tedious,
a profession,
tedious work.
Yes.
Yeah, it becomes like an actual job, which I guess maybe we can pivot into another topic that I don't know if a lot of people touch onto, which is sort of your own personal investments, and I mean financial, versus a possible financial gain, because it is a part of it, I guess, especially nowadays. It's a big topic, which it wasn't.
Content today is very strange and different for what I was expecting from video hostings in the internet.
Yes,
I was imagining that people will create basically the content, but they don't. The most popular bloggers are just reviewing stuff. They are sitting in front of their webcam and watching videos that other people created and commenting on that. And that's what is most popular on modern YouTube, which is strange.
It is.
And then there are people who are streaming stuff. I don't say that it's an easy job or something, no, but still, it's not the content they produce, it's just the content someone made and they are showing. It's
Right.
different thing. So there are not a lot of content creators out there, actually. And those people are, well, usually they are great at what they do, but there are just not many of them.
Yeah, there's very few
Right?
the people that make. I don't often watch a lot of Russian stuff. I just find that almost everything that I would like to watch is covered by sort of the Western things with the better quality and better thing. Not always, but there are a few Russian channels that I do watch that I know are monetized and do make profit. I'm sure just because, but they also like deserve it. I don't know, I do enjoy a lot of the like Pixel Devils reviews. And those videos are fucking quality stuff, just on a technical level. Like
This is exactly what we were discussing with him when I met him a couple months ago.
I am blown away by how well done they are. So like, and the dude makes money, and you know, good for him. Like I think he deserves it just because I don't know what kind of effort goes into those making videos, but I can imagine what kind of effort goes into those videos. And if he's willing to put up that much work into them, then of course he should be making money. I mean,
I think one thing that we shouldn't miss when we discuss content creation is that YouTube is very, very unfair to people who create stuff, because today you can't live off of YouTube because YouTube is just greedy. Mm-hmm. I can say that.
Yes.
You can't make money with it, so people go to Patreon. Yes. And using Patreon, well, Patreon basically saved all this niche of content creating people. I can say so because, yeah, actually the Patreon is the only way for them to make decent money.
Yes.
To make enough just to to concentrate on creating videos.
I would say so.
Patreon basically doesn't work in Russia because Patreon is dependent of PayPal.
Right.
And for example, PayPal thinks of me as a drug dealer, so they don't work with me anymore.
Right.
And that makes Patreon and many different other services just unavailable for me.
Right.
Which is sad, but well, okay, I can live with that. Still, YouTube is basically destroying the niche of content creating people because, if you can't live off of that, you can't make such a big effort in creating these videos. So you either create stuff which is very low quality or you turn to something else. And that is really sad.
It is.
So people who are making quality content should have enough money to concentrate on this stuff. And I'm very happy for Nikolai Pixel Devil, who found a way to work with Patreon, to work with PayPal, and he makes enough money to do only that stuff. And we as viewers are very happy he got through it.
Yeah.
It should be the point is it shouldn't be so complicated for people,
Right. Again, yeah. If anything, it's a job. I just wanted to point out that there's I don't know. I maybe spoke about this before. I don't know if it belongs in this podcast. Like I now have a Patreon and my videos are monetized, which for years I've been saying my videos are never going to be monetized because I hate ads, and I do.
I have the same thing.
And only when I lost my job and everything is when I finally started the Patreon and put ads on my videos, just for the reason that I literally would have lost the place I'm living in if it wasn't for those months where I had my Patreon active. That's literally why I did it. I had no other choice, and it fucking killed me to do it. But there's something I learned because of this. Like stuff like YouTube will push unmonetized videos down in searches, like stuff. Undoubtedly. Like, as soon as I monetized my videos and I did nothing else to them, they all like spiked in views dramatically. Yeah, and the point is, YouTube is very greedy, and they're not your friend. They're not your friend in the slightest.
Yeah,
and
those greedy
they're
bastards.
a terrible fucking company, and yeah, that's that. And Patreon, I mean, Patreon has their own things, and I swear my Patreon is coming back. I'm gonna put it on record right here, and I'm gonna make it.
So, how's it going for you then?
Well, my Patreon's been on pause for like a year because I haven't produced any content for a year, but I am coming back because I got a new job and I had to get settled, and there's other factors. You know, life does get in the way sometimes, and in my case, life got in the way for quite a while.
Life always gets in the way.
Yeah.
Just always, every day.
So, but I am sort of coming around now, and I'm doing the podcast, I'm finishing up some videos, and I'm also, I mean, because I have a new job, I managed to, that's actually another part that I wanted to talk about, is the personal financial investment into things, is I actually bought quite a lot of new things that allow me to make videos faster and better. And just generally, like, because I'm able to buy some physical stuff, and, you know, there's more stuff for me to eventually show off and stuff like this. And, like, those sort of things, like, how do you feel? I mean, you're popular enough for other people, you have just series of videos where people send you stuff and you open it and you talk about it, and then you pick the most interesting things and do like full-length videos showing off those things. But still, you know, making those videos, besides only investment of time, as we discussed, and frustration and nerves and everything, making those videos also involves spending quite a bit of your own money, sometimes a little,
yes, exactly.
sometimes a lot. And I don't know, do you want to talk about sort of the experiences of you, I don't know, do you have any cases where you sometimes spend a lot of money for maybe not a lot of video footage just because you felt it would be interesting, or stuff like that? And of course, if you want to like recall the stuff where you bought something on an online auction for a lot of money and then it didn't fucking work, you feel free to do that as well, because I'm sure all of us have stories like that.
Well, yeah, this hobby takes a lot of investments. So, first of all, I think the main spend factor that I have right now is what I call my museum. It's basically not a museum. It's just a storage room that I use to store the stuff that I bought through all this time and that people sent me. I have to keep it somewhere. So I am having this warehouse, which already it costed me in rent more than I ever made out of my video blog. Only that. So I spent more money on it than I earned through making my videos. And I mean the whole 10-year career. Right. Yeah. And, well, I never counted how much money I actually spent on my video creating hobby, but it's a lot. Of course it is. As I've already said, I bought a camera which was twice as my salary. It was very expensive for me, but I still bought it because I wanted to make my content more, you know, I wanted to put more quality in it. And of course, I had to buy stuff from online auctions, and it always is much more expensive that I will ever earn from the video that will show the stuff I just bought. Of course, fans help a lot. They send stuff which most of the time is free, not always. Some fans want to have something for their donation, so I don't mind that. Yet I most of the time I just refuse because, uh,
No, I
if someone
understand.
wants to, then yeah, I don't think that actually needs an explanation.
Yeah, I do the
It's,
same thing.
yeah. So, but still, my fans are very nice people who send a lot of stuff which I never had or couldn't find on online auctions. They appear to have it, so they don't need it. They send stuff, and I am making videos about it. Some are interesting, some are not. But when I receive something which doesn't work by itself, it requires some cabling or maybe something else, I don't know, but I still have to invest into
Right.
the video to make it happen. And it always, well, all the videos are much more expensive in creating than, the box office that I get out of it. So, yeah, that was never a job for me. It is just a hobby which I enjoy. It like any other true hobby. It of course requires some investments from time to time, and I don't actually mind it. Well, okay, that's just how it is. I want. Well, I dream about making it my job one day. That would be very nice because I have so many ideas. I want to make videos about this and that, and I don't have time for it because I have to make money, and this is, well, incompatible task for me. And just that there is a content creating time when I spend money, and there's job time when I making money.
Right.
It would be great if it was the same thing, but it isn't. So a lot of money is spent on that stuff, and then it's quite expensive, and you can't always get it. You can't always get the stuff that you want because you don't have, well, the amount of finance right now. So people always, well, not always, but sometimes people ask, well, what takes you so long to film this or that? And it's not only, finding stuff, not only waiting for the stuff being shipped, but it's also finding, money for buying all this stuff. And that can take a lot of time. So, yes, that's an expensive hobby.
Yeah, it is. Just generally a retro thing, especially recently retro PC. And that's the other side of it, right? When we started this whole thing, you could have got on eBay and buy everything, games and hardware and everything, for like nothing. $20 for a PC, $3 for a game. And by us putting it, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's called market, right? That's how market works. By all of us pushing it into the spotlight, now you can go and see people actually paying like $2,000 for shrink-wrapped Fallout, like something that would be incomprehensible 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, you could have had it for $5.
From a certain point of view, it's amazing. It's great. I like it. From a certain point of view.
Not from the point of a person like me who used to collect stuff and then just stopped because they're like, okay, this is just bullshit now.
Yeah, I understand that. I actually think that AVGN is personally responsible for this stuff
for, like,
happening.
Relaunching the retro stuff. In many ways, I'm sure. Yes, yeah, of course.
I think everybody agrees that he was the one who started all this nostalgia line in the internet about retro gaming.
In the internet, I also feel that a lot of it did exist, but was in a more sort of like.
Well, at least he popularized it.
Absolutely,
so,
he popularized it, and it's the same thing. We also came around with the new internet, and everything kind of happened at the same time. Nerd culture was just nerd culture before, but
yes, of course,
within the last 20 years, I'd say nerd culture is pop culture.
Yeah, it just became mainstream.
So, I mean, we talked about the investment, well, how about this? So now your videos are, well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about this? I'm on record saying this multiple times. Before we move on to the feedback, I guess let's wrap it up, like the whole production and investment and everything. I guess we can round it off with, how do you feel about the if you want to talk about about the end results of your own creativity, because I know I've said this a million times, so it doesn't hurt me to say this. I fucking hate everything I make.
Strange thing is that lately I begin to hate my own results too, but
You didn't
it wasn't
before?
like that all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I really didn't. I used to make the 16 bits ago, and I used to watch my stuff right after rendering, not even once. So I used to watch it like 3 times at least, 3 times in a row.
And you watched it and you were like, oh shit, good stuff. Really?
Well, surprisingly, yeah.
Good for
I
you,
like what I
man.
did back then.
Oh man,
I
good
can't
for
imagine.
you.
Yeah, I can't imagine it right now because today when I'm finishing this stuff, I'm angry. I am pissed off, and I am closing the video editor saying, thanks God it's over. I am uploading it to YouTube, and I don't care about this stuff anymore.
Yeah, that was me from day one. I think I literally maybe have, which videos of mine I like? I like that Rise of the Triad music video that I made. That's about it. You know why? Because I heard the music, right? I just randomly stumbled onto that music, onto that remix, and I had an idea in my head of what the images from the game would be set to that music, and I just sat down, and over the course of 2 days, I put those images to the music. So now that I watched that video, for the most part, I'm like, well, this kind of actually resembles exactly like what I had in my head when I before I even sat down and touched anything. And that's the only time that ever fucking happened. Like,
yeah, interesting. What's really funny about it is that the more time passes, the more I like my videos that I made long time ago, because I keep forgetting.
Well, you forget
the
what you
stuff.
made. I actually feel like this is
Yeah.
about the podcast. The reason I hit you up on Twitter recently is because I was just like, I used to put, I don't anymore, but I used to put my the podcasts on my phone so I could listen to them before I upload them, in case there were any errors, because I've said this before, but let's repeat it again. I edit the podcasts very heavily, just because. I don't know why. I just do. So I would re-listen to them, but they were still on my phone. I copy my music files over and over. I don't use any cloud services or anything. I just literally I'm old school. I just copy the files.
Yeah, me
over.
neither.
I just copy all my files from one. The memory keeps enlarging and stuff, so I don't have to buy memory cards anymore. I can just copy the entire 8 gigs worth of my road music to whatever. But with that came the podcast, and it shuffled onto our old podcast that we did together, however many years ago that was, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all about this. I was just like, but mostly because it involved somebody else but me. But my videos, I absolutely can't stand.
Well, I have different problem. I can't make a video with someone else. It's part of being an introvert. I am.
Well, me
So,
too. How
yeah.
many times have you seen me make videos with somebody else?
Well, exactly. So I have very few collaborations. I still have them, but very few. And I'm making videos, and then I keep forgetting not even about making these videos, but I keep forgetting the stuff I was talking about, and I'm watching it as an educational stuff, believe it or not, because it always takes a lot of research to make a video as accurate as you just can get to.
Right.
So I keep researching stuff which I forget the next day, basically. It's not, of course, happening next day. Literally, it happens in a year or something. But today, my first season of 16 Bits Ago is 5 years old, and I just forgot everything I was talking about there. So I am watching it as a new show. I am watching it just like if someone else did it. And
good
it's
for
very
you,
enjoyable.
man. I can't. I remember almost. I don't remember the podcast because it's other people talking, but my own videos, I remember every terrible minute.
You should take a break from it. Maybe you will enjoy it more. I don't know.
I guess. I mean, I never really deleted anything. I did that Quake video that I did. I'm very embarrassed about. So much so that that's the only video of mine that I hid.
There are a lot of videos which I'm embarrassed of, because when I'm rewatching my old stuff, it's very interesting when it comes to, well, the text, the stuff that I am talking about, but it always is embarrassing about the quality of the video.
Oh yeah,
You
well
can
the quality I don't even that's
YouTube videos don't age well,
no,
basically.
they don't. But also, like, that doesn't bother me. The quality itself doesn't bother me as much because I sort of remember mentally what kind of place in my life I was when I made them, and they're terrible. I hate appearing on camera. To this day, I do, and I hate memorizing the script. Which is why I don't really appear in my videos anymore. Although I'm sort of like trying to. I think I'm going to revert that as well. I'm going to start appearing more in my videos personally, at least for a little bit. Just because to get myself out of my comfort zone. Got to do something, right? Got to do something to sort of
well, that's an interesting approach, I would say, because I have recreated the format of my videos which excluded the camera from it.
Right.
Well, totally excluded, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, well,
for this time period at least.
So was I. Yeah, I haven't appeared in a video in a long time. Like personally, I used to just do the VO just because it was so much easier. And I actually have my, like, because I used to not just cut, and I used to record everything with my webcam originally, and I still have those somewhere. They buried where you can just see like 30 minutes worth of takes to say like 3 lines in like my first some of my first videos. Of course, I'm swearing up a storm.
Tell me about it.
It's always just fucking shit, and like 5 minutes and I start looking very sweaty, and yeah, it's
that's very rare person on the Russian segment of YouTube who doesn't swear in his videos.
I don't swear in my videos either, but I do swear in podcasts and in life.
And yeah, but I do it in life, and I do it a lot. And if people just saw my outtakes, that would be very embarrassing. Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think I actually put up a couple of my audio outtakes on Twitter over the years because I found them and I found them funny. But yeah, I do. Well, people who listen to the podcast and not just watch the videos know that I curse a lot. But yeah, what was I doing? What was I saying? So
about getting off the camera and then you're trying to get back.
Yes, but it's all about like sort of like feeling satisfied with your work or not. But say so now we went through like production, investment, and what it takes to now the fun part comes is now I guess we're gonna get to the reception.
We summarized that creating videos is hard.
It's hard and it's terrible, and yeah, I think we just went on for
we hate it.
Yeah, for an hour we just went on how we hate it. But of course we all do it for something, right? It's obviously not for money. I think both of us established this. We don't make a living off that, and in fact it takes more money and time to make it.
A lot more.
Which is why it's a hobby. For me it's also a hobby, it's not a job. Which is a good thing, I guess.
It has.
I look at it like it's a good thing because I hate all the things that I have to do, and I'm sure even if I manage to turn this into like a real job, then I would hate my hobby, which is not something I want to do. I like to do this for fun because it's fun. But so far, I think we discussed a lot of things, and none of them have been fun. So it's the reception that must be fun, right? The feedback. And before we get to the dreaded topic of everything else, I will say that I have stated it previously in this very podcast, and I will say that I do enjoy the feedback. I started this thing for feedback, and I do enjoy hundreds, sometimes thousands of people sharing their DOS experiences with me as a result of something that I put out there. And to me, that's like the relief. Like I finished the video that I hated making, and it sort of came maybe close to my original idea of what I was making. And I uploaded it on YouTube, and within a day there are thousands of views, and stuff starts coming back to you, people reacting to it. And I will say that largely things have very positive. They might not be what I expected. They might not sometimes, like, you know, if you don't say in the video, share your experiences with whatever, people not going to do it. But people who are very enthusiastic about all this stuff, just like I am enthusiastic about this stuff. Like, I love hearing from people. And that's what keeps me going, you know, like, I see, and sometimes you'll see people comment on, like, just put up those big, like, their descriptions of their childhood experiences, and it's something completely different from what your experience is, but you can still, like, sort of relate. And that's I don't know about you, but that's what keeps me going. Like, I really do love getting those sort of, like, big comments and descriptions of people's experiences, which does happen when I put out my videos. So in a way, that's why I make them.
Well, I can't agree more, because of course, if we are not doing it for money, then for what? I think it's obvious that most people who are making their videos or anything publicly, it's for the feedback, because feedback is actually, yeah, it's what keeps me going. Because when people are saying, well, I can relate to that, I used to have the same experience, this is very interesting stuff, it is always uplifting. I'd say it always is inspiring. It always inspires me to make more stuff, to put more effort in creating it. So yeah, feedback is important. And I can't say that I'm still enjoying the feedback that as I used to, because the more popular you get,
there's
the
a
more
point, there's a breaking point, and if I reached it, then I'm not as popular as you. Overall,
and I consider myself not very popular in terms of
but
YouTube.
you are in the field that you're in.
All the amount of trash.
But if I reach that point, you have reached that point for fucking sure. There comes a point in every content creator's life where, for the first, while you're like small, and the community that sort of self builds around you is small, it's all generally very, very positive. But there comes a breaking point at some point where your reach becomes, you know, it just statistically just starts reaching a lot more people than it used to. And then I'm trying to put this in words that are not you know,
I know.
it's pretty hard to say, but either way, as any content creator will attest, and the more popular you are, the worse it is. And not just, but it also, I mean, other factors are also in, and sometimes I think the world that I'm a white man, and because I am sorry to say that is a factor.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Big fucking.
Even as a Russian guy, which lives in very different culture from, you know, the American culture, I can say it matters.
Yes, it matters a lot of, and I personally, I mean, because I am small, I don't get as much negative bullshit as I do just because I'm small and I am white and I'm a guy. As I am sure some of my, I guess, colleagues have to deal with this. And you, I don't know if I'm going to cut this out or not, but I have very limited interaction with Russian viewers, right? Because I do all my content in English. But it just happens that DOS stuff and PC stuff, because I came from the same world, is very popular. In Russia, it's a huge topic, nostalgia
Thanks
topic
God for that.
for many people. So I do get feedback from Russian people as well. And I mean, I'm sorry to make this big generalization. It's not everybody who I'm going to make this statement about that I'm about to make, and who knows, maybe I'll cut this out, maybe not. I don't know, probably not. Russian internet users, especially when it comes to comments, and I mean, I deal with a lot of bullshit from English-speaking people as well, but Russians are the fucking worst. I don't know what it has to do. What I feel partially responsible because I was there in the early days of the Russian internet and I participated in the development of this culture as much as everybody else did. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Basically, I have an explanation about it.
Do you? Because I would love to hear a theory, because I don't understand why Russians are so happy to shit on everything on the internet in the amount that they do. Because it's just mind-boggling to me.
Well, you have to know how Russia is, constructed, if I can say so.
Of course.
Russia is a very huge country with a lot of people living not in a big city, which are it's not about the internet. People in Russia are raised not very tolerant to anything.
Right.
It's not just being politically correct or something. It's just about being intolerant to basically everything. So when those people come to the internet, they hate everything that is not them.
Right, and of course there's a layer of anonymity that's slapped on top of that, and it just makes things worse.
In the last couple of years, the internet came to every part of Russia, and it's very cheap to buy a very basic smartphone or tablet PC or even a gaming computer. So everybody has it, and a lot of youngsters, if we can say so. A lot of
all right, Grandpa.
yeah, exactly. And people from like 7. Yeah, I said it. 7, maybe even 6 to like 14 years old. They all are in the internet. They spend all their free time there, and well, it's the only entertainment they have. It's either that or doing some farm activities. I don't know. The people are living in villages basically, so it's the only thing that they can do. They don't have this much of a cultural education. And
yeah, I know, but it just fucking matters. It just bothers me that so many people take the valuable time of their life to just come to you and just personally just like shit on your doorstep for no good reason. It's not constructive. It's not good for nobody's getting anything out of it. Well, they're getting something out of it. I'm definitely not. And whatever.
It's strange for me too, but yeah, it's their main entertainment. They don't have much in their lives, so that's what they do.
I understand that's where it stems from, but it just mind-boggling to me. And yeah, it is the country that I came from, so I should understand probably better than anybody. But that's what the Russian internet culture is. And I mean, I'm not leaving it just to Russians. I mean, everybody has to put up with their share of. And there comes a moment where you're popular enough where you're gonna get like sort of like verbal abuse on a regular basis.
And I actually wanted to be a little more serious maybe about it, because this actually is very, very important topic. And thank you for having me, because I think it's the right place to talk about it in a kind of serious manner. Right. So what I wanted to say is that, of course, there are those people who are just young and stupid, and that's okay, I guess. The stuff they say isn't that offensive.
Right.
It's just stupid.
It's just
you
stupid.
See it,
yeah. And you just brush it off. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing interesting, nothing particularly, offending. It's just boring. And yet there are other people who are much more clever and who are, maybe it will sound funny, but they are basically just an internet bullies. I wouldn't call them trolls. They are just bullies because it's not about internet. It's just their hobby to make other people
miserable?
Angry.
Yeah,
miserable and angry.
Yes.
And they think it's funny. And they always, just to make it clear, I have some friends who also think that it is funny. They are even practicing the stuff. Well, they used to. Now they, thanks God, don't. So, yeah. And I always told them, you guys, you are my friends. I know you for a lot of time, and we're still friends, but I want you to know I am so not supporting this hobby of yours that you really should consider stopping it. And thanks God they stopped. But they found it interesting, and they always told me that, we're not doing anything wrong. It's just joking. It's, about people's reactions. It's
Right.
just about people's reactions. They react funny, and that's just funny. There's nothing offensive about it. It's only the people who are trolled, are making it offensive.
Right.
The others would just ignore it. And this is where I come to a conclusion that it's not that simple, actually.
It's not. In fact,
yeah.
in fact, that's leading into the topic that I didn't even expect to discuss today, but I'm actually very happy to discuss. Probably a larger topic of maybe just generally mental health.
There are a lot of people who are very they are not good at comprehending the stuff they are seeing in the internet about themselves. There are people who, I can consider myself as one of them at least some years ago, because, as I've already mentioned, I have deleted my channel once. And it wasn't just because, I didn't have time for it anymore. It was a factor, but the main thing was that I was just tired of being, let's say, bullied all the time, because I just thought I didn't deserve it. It was not worth it. So I just destroyed my channel and destroyed all my work. There were a lot of fans, real fans, who were disturbed by it, who were very upset by it, who started different campaigns about supporting me. So that was very nice of them. There are a lot of good people there, but there are people who are just trying to make an advantage out of you being, about you overreacting to stuff. And that is not something that comes from your mind. It's not something that it's not about you being stupid or something, as they often think it is. It's just there are a lot of different people with very different mental capabilities, let's put it this way.
I guess.
And there are people who are, they could be great content creators, they could be great scientists, great writers, whatever they do. If they have to do it publicly, they receive some criticisms. Sometimes it is fair, sometimes it is not. And I really wanted to say that, people who are making fun of it, who are, enjoying bullying other people just to, have a kick out of it, just to see them react, they should really consider stopping it. I know how stupid that sounds, but
yeah, I know they're not going to listen to this either.
I can even say something maybe more deep, and you can feel free to cut it out, but I want to say it. So I come from the culture where, for example, homophobia is not something that is a bad thing.
Right.
It is considered to be the norm.
Yeah, it's even encouraged in many ways. I don't know if probably I know things in Russia have changed since I've been there, but I don't think they've changed. But I don't think they've changed that much.
It's changed in context that I have gay friends. They are okay. They're living okay. It's not a big problem for them, but they still are trying to hide their homosexuality from everyone, just to make sure.
Right. To be on the safe side is what you mean.
Yeah, but publicly, you can't only be openly gay. You can't even be openly not homophobic.
Right.
Even that is considered as
a weakness.
Yeah. If you are not homophobic, you're automatically gay.
That's
exactly.
How that. I do know how that is.
So why am I talking about that? Is because when I was growing up, it was, believe it or not, it was quite obvious for me where gays are bad. Basically, it is what everyone was believing in. Everyone was told to believe in. And time passed, and I was very into computers. I was, well, that's obvious. I was reading a lot of stuff, and then if you asked me back then, what do I think about all this homophobia stuff? Should we allow gay marriages? I would probably say, no, we shouldn't. That is incorrect. We should leave the things like they are and change nothing. And then I read about the guy who I admire a lot, who is someone who gave us basically the computer we have today.
Right.
His name is Mr. Alan Turing. He is a great scientist. He created, a lot of stuff. We wouldn't even list it right now. And it makes me incredibly sad when I understand how many more things he could do with his life if he wasn't dead, because he had to kill himself, because he was given a choice. He was homosexual, and he was told to either choose a prison or choose, quote unquote, chemical solution to his problem.
Right.
So obviously he chose the second, and he couldn't live with it. He committed suicide. And so this is what homophobia led to. We lost a treasure for mankind, a guy who was just genius. We lost it because something that is nobody's business led to this very, very unfortunate sequences. So that was a point in my life when I changed my mind about it, about all this gay stuff, if I can say so. And basically, it's the same with bullying people. When you think you are just making fun of it, when you are trying to bring personal life of someone to, the public observation and make fun of it, maybe you're doing something bad for yourself too. Because, the guy you are making fun of can be a great scientist which will find a cure for cancer. I'm just saying very obvious stuff there, but
yeah, no, I just
stuff that I wanted to say, so I said it.
No, good.
Feel free to cut it out. But
I'm not going to cut it out. I think it's very important, and I think it just generally just feeds into first of all, mental health is important, right?
Yeah.
Now, I live in the country that sort of things are always on edge.
At least Americans talk about mental health.
Yeah, we talk about it, but we have very little in the way of supporting it, sadly.
It's not even a thing. If you behave strangely, you have to be beaten.
Oh, I know. I know. It's the same thing. 20 years ago, the same, 30 years ago, same was in the States. The ADD did not exist. It's called you're not paying attention in school. Smack.
Yeah.
I assume things are probably they were the same in Russia when I was a kid, and I'm pretty fairly certain things are the same in Russia today.
It is changing, though.
I hope it is.
Yeah, it is changing, though, and maybe in 100 or a couple hundred of years we will see some difference.
Maybe.
It won't happen very fast, but it is changing.
But either way, I think mental health is important. I am a person who suffers from chronic depression, and which is why I live in my own paradox where I love talking to people, but I also like to stay away from all the people at the same time. It's really weird. How
I know exactly what you mean.
How I operate, but it's also as far as internet trolling goes, it's like we both of us mentioned, we're not doing it for money, we're doing it for fun, and it takes a lot of personal investment. Not just time and money, but also just energy, right? You put a lot of yourself into this work. Even though I end up hating my work, I still put a lot of, every video. It's silly to say this, but in a way, it's my baby. In a very trivial way, not like, oh my god, don't touch my fucking babies, but I did make it. And I put it out there, and I'm fine with all the constructive criticism. God, I'm my own worst fucking critic. I said,
exactly.
I hate all of my videos. I see all the shortcomings of everything I make. Trust me, it takes me just the confirmation pass to make sure that there's no like rendering errors or anything is painful to me, just because I see all the imperfections. I see them.
Right.
Like, it's not that I'm oblivious to them, like I've made the best thing ever. No, I've made the worst fucking thing ever, but whatever. I'm putting it out there. That's the least that I can do. And people who capitalize on that, people who sort of feel like it doesn't take them anything. It's like people who do want to abuse you on some level just to feel superior. They don't know how much of an impact they can make on you in that specific moment, because they're just joking, they're just getting a reaction, but they don't know where you're at that specific point in your life, and also what kind of work you've put into the something that's being so maybe like criticized on the surface, maybe for something even is unrelated. It's usually something very personal that's being attacked. But like in combination of both those things can be incredibly harmful and just destructive. And it's very, very serious. And if enough people pile on, the effect can be absolutely disastrous just on a person's well-being, which actually leads into another thing that I wanted to discuss with you specifically. And in your case, that's going to be, well, you've touched on to this already before, but so what is your solution, or what is your solution to your way that you found for yourself to sort of keep your mental health and maybe to deal with negative feedback?
I used to read all the comments all the time because I was making content for the comments. I was reading all the stuff, and then negative comments started appearing. When it's just some combination of curse words, yeah, you know, your mom is a whore. Okay, I can live with that. That's not a huge problem for me. I just ignore it. It doesn't make me angry in any way. Mm-hmm. Then there are people who are saying, yeah, there you are mistaken. Okay, thank you. I know that. It really angers me a little because, yeah, I know that. Stop, putting it into my face. I know that I was mistaken over there. And there are people who are, saying, well, it would be better if you did something, blah, 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 blah. That angers me more.
It is annoying.
It is annoying, and I'm saying it would be better if you mind your fucking business.
Yeah. So, it would be better if you just fucking set up a camera and did your own shit. Like, that would be actually the best.
What angers me the most is when people are obviously wrong and accusing me of being wrong. I just can't stand it when people are saying, yeah, this is incorrect. Like, the most frequent example is pronunciation of the id Software company. People are saying it's not id, it's ID.
Oh, they can go fuck themselves.
It's so frustrating.
Everybody used to
keep repeating it.
Everybody used to do that, right? Like back in the 90s when we didn't know any better. English speakers and Russian speakers alike. But we've lived in like 20 years of like internet at this point. At this point, we've heard id Software being said 1.5 million times.
And it's not fucking state secret. Just
exactly.
It's so obvious. It's so everywhere in the internet. Just fucking Google it, and you will know the truth.
It's so trivial. Actually, can I say something about something I would have never done today, which is how you learn. That's actually part of my learning process. But very early on, I did the review of the game Loom, right?
Right.
I think maybe my 3rd or 4th video. And I said that all the music in the game is from Tchaikovsky's The Swan Lake.
Okay.
And of course, a month later, I get the fucking comment, oh, by the way, not all the music is from The Swan Lake. And actually, there was a list of like 5 songs that are not from Swan Lake, allegedly. And it was so early on in my YouTube, in my content creation thing, that I went out and bought a copy of the Swan Lake just so I can point to very specific time signatures in the reply of where all of those songs, which are from the Swan Lake, or in which act and in which scene and at which time those songs are played. Because, of course, they are from the fucking Swan Lake, because they are. And I would have, if somebody left that comment on any of my videos today, I wouldn't even look twice at it. You know what I mean? I would just let it fucking slide just because of how dumb it was. And this is a forewarning, and I know nobody's going to listen because you just have to experience it for yourself. But if you're not a content creator but you want to become one, don't engage. Don't engage with that sort of shit, because some asshole spent 5 seconds leaving a comment on my YouTube page. I ended up spending my own money and time and thinking about it to write a contrary response. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Nobody's benefiting from it. Nobody cares.
Exactly. So to answer your question, what do? I stopped reading comments. I still have my website where there are a lot less comments to all of my new comment videos, so I am reading them. I'm reading those. There are a lot negative comments there still, but comparing to YouTube, I just consider YouTube to be a trash bag.
Cesspool?
A cesspool, right. So
I'm going to cut that
out. Okay. There's nothing interesting for me on YouTube comments anymore. I just know that there are a lot of good comments there, but I am sacrificing them.
That's right. The percentage is not worth it. Like that's the sad part about comments on YouTube, and it's about the same. I mean, for me, they're largely positive. I'm not gonna say anything. I sometimes I do read comments. That's the thing. I since I'm on Twitter, I read like every Twitter thing that comes back, sadly, and the more popular my Twitter gets, the harder it is to do. Not because of quantity, but because of the percentage of whatever. But I sometimes do take a glance at your YouTube comments, and I understand why you don't read them.
I think the most disappointing thing about YouTube comments nowadays is not negativity, but they are just irrelevant.
Yeah.
I am reading it, and it is just so not interesting. People are talking about that there was a bad lighting there. You should have put camera there. Come on, man. Is that really what bothers you in my video? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
You're not listening to the stuff I'm saying. You're looking at the picture, which is not important. Well,
yeah, the sad part is the good comments are lost in that. But it's nobody's but people's fault. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I'm not about whining. I think if things are like that, well, I can't change people. I have to ignore them. Then
right.
What choice do I have?
And if you read 50 comments a day about where you put your fucking chair in that video, it's not worth it just because it's so frustrating. Because the last thing you want to think about is where you put the fucking chair. What does it matter?
The main thing, it kills all the mood for creating more.
You can't fucking read 50 comments about where you put your chair or where you put your fucking window and then sit down and spend 4 days making a video. It's not not how it works.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago I considered, well, if you are people who are interested in chair position in my videos, and you can go fuck yourselves. And I just deleted my channel. And I was wrong. That wasn't a good thing to do. I shouldn't have done it. But what made me, stronger, if I can say so, was the point that I just thought about it and came to a conclusion that, okay, from now on, I am doing these videos for myself.
Right.
There are a lot of good people there who are loving what I am doing. Those people always find a way to make a contact with me to tell me about how much they are enjoying the stuff. So I wouldn't lose those feedbacks. So yeah, it's still there. I still have it. It's all right. I am not reading comments anymore. Even if I do, it doesn't matter because I am not doing it for those people. If those people don't like a chair position or a light position or anything else, well, it's their fucking problem because now I am doing videos just for myself. I'm doing it like I want it I want them to be. So after I am making a video, I still hate it after that, but then time passes, and then I still rewatch my videos, and some I don't like and some I like more. So I am enjoying this for myself. This is videos, those are videos that I do for myself. If someone else likes it, great. I want to communicate with those people. If someone else doesn't like it, so, well, that is not my problem. It's their problem. I will never, ever again make it my problem. So this is the statement that I made for myself, and I'm trying to stick to it.
No, that's good. I mean, everything is a learning experience, right? And I am guilty. I mean, I'm sometimes proud of myself for not engaging with things. Actually, happened just 3 hours ago. But the most recent.
I'm sure I am losing much from this position.
I don't know, man.
Even if I do, I'm sorry. I want to be excused by all those people who are trying to communicate and just can't because I don't see them.
That's a sad part, but again, mental health is what's most important. If you can take care of yourself, what can you take care of?
Yeah, exactly. So we can either keep up making stuff that we make, or we can read all the comments and it will eventually just stop, and there will be nothing for nobody. So the choice is quite obvious.
Yeah, I mean, that encompasses, I guess, the entire topic. I just don't want to end on this sad of a note. I'm just saying, I do want to, after all of this being said, I always do want to encourage people to create their own content. Like I said before, if you're waiting on a topic that you can talk about it and nobody else is talking about it, do it. Go for it. There is an audience on the internet. The world is more connected than it has ever been. And
which is amazing.
It is. It's absolutely. It's an amazing. We are so connected. It's ridiculous. Well, it's not ridiculous. It's actually quite spectacular. But so there's always an audience for anything. Something like this, like I'm doing a podcast when I cannot fill my time with anything else, just because like something like starting a podcast or a text blog doesn't really take much. You can do it if you feel like you have something and you just fucking do it. Like, go for it. It can be very, very gratifying. And yes, there's all those negative things coming with it, but what in life isn't really? Like, what there's no such thing in life that's only pure positive joy. That just doesn't exist.
Yes, the internet just multiplies it a million times, but it multiplies not only the negativity but also the positivity.
Exactly.
And when you are a popular blogger, there are people out there who think that you are like a brother to them. Which is amazing. I know what it feels like because I also have my own, list of people that I watch on YouTube, and some of them for me are like part of my family.
Yeah, being a public person instantly puts that spin on you, where people after a while feel that they know you. And the same with me. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, especially. Some I've been listening to, I don't know, 10 years at this point. How are those people are not my, like one-way friends? Like, they don't know who I am. But
one-way friends. But half-duplex friends.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they don't know who I am, but I sure as hell know who they are.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a lot of people who know everything about me, and I don't even know them.
Right.
It is weird, but I know these people are actually quite enjoying my company, and this is amazing. I basically am very grateful for this situation.
They're the ones who we make this for, besides ourselves, obviously.
Yeah, it's those people that inspire us.
Yes, and everything else, all the negativity, it's tough, but like, if you do it right, if you keep your mind at what's important and what's important for you specifically, like nobody knows you better than you yourself, right? So like if you figure out what's important and how much of everything you can handle, anything is possible. You'll be able to just skid across all the negativity and just concentrate on the positive, and that's what's important in life, just in general, right? Not just in content creation. That's an important thing in life to keep your. It's easy to lose the perspective, right? It's easy to
Yes,
to get.
I learned it hard way, but still,
Yeah,
it's the right way.
it's easy
So,
to get sidetracked, but if you manage to keep an eye out on what's important for you in your life, then anything is possible, and especially something like being content creator on the internet.
people often come to me for advice, like what should I do to become a popular content creator or something. And I always say that the most important thing is being yourself. You should make the content the way you like it.
Right.
Don't try to please everyone. It's impossible.
Yes.
And when you are trying to do it for one reason or another, and by different reasons, I mean, you can do it just to be more liked, or you can do it to make more money out of it. The result is the same. You lose yourself, and then the content becomes boring. The audience is very sensitive to the fact that you don't like what you are doing.
Right.
It is always very obvious. So stick to the way you like it.
Right.
And if someone else likes it, great. If someone doesn't, well, it's their problem. So I often hear stuff about, bloggers that I like, and people say that, this one is now making money out of his blog, and the picture is beautiful, but he's a sellout. I don't like him anymore. And sometimes the real reason is not because they are making money out of it, but because they started to make it, likable by everyone, which automatically makes it boring and
right. It's syndicated.
not likable.
It's
by
syndicated television, and
Yes,
the feel when you see it.
Yeah, you know the feeling. So, and it is very obvious. If you're trying to be liked by everyone, you are automatically becoming, very synthetic. It's not interesting. People who are passionate, who are making stuff that they like, first of all, are interesting to someone else. It is very important. It's the main thing. You should stick to yourself, to what you like, to what you want, the stuff you're making to be. So yeah, this is general advice.
Right. That's good. I think we covered, everything that we that we wanted to talk about. Well, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure, as always.
Anytime. Now, do you have you mostly tweet in Russian and stuff, and your channel is mostly in Russian, but say maybe some Russian people listen to this that don't know where to find you. Where can they find you on the internet?
Well, it's me on Twitter. My nick is Bocha himself. Actually, I don't think that it is so important to advertise myself, because I actually doing all my stuff in Russian, so it's not very interesting to most of your listeners.
Well, just in case, you never know who's listening. Let's be honest with you, I like this podcast so much that this podcast I do for myself. I never ever once looked at any numbers related to this podcast. I have no idea.
Good for you.
I have no idea how many people are listening. I have no idea where they're listening. I don't know where they're coming from, what country. I don't look at any of the stats. I don't care. This podcast is for myself to talk with other people, basically. So that's
at this point of this podcast, I don't even remember if you said my name out loud.
I did in the very beginning.
Okay then. So my name is Dmitry Bachilo. You can Google it, and yes, I think that's enough about advertising me.
Yeah, it's fine. And of course, anybody can find me. Das Nostalgic just about well, fucking everywhere. And I want to remind the people that if somebody has a topic that they feel, like a concise topic that they feel that they can talk about for an hour or two, like this, just casually chatting, feel free to let me know. And you too can be a guest on Das Nostalgia podcast. The door is always open, as long as you feel strongly that you can sort of keep on track for an hour or two. You're most welcome to, hit me up on Twitter and anywhere else, and we'll do this. Alrighty, sir. Well, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you for coming on to the show, and
it's been a pleasure for me too. Thank you for having me again. So, yeah, have a good night.
And you too. And to all the listeners, we'll hear each other again on another episode of Das Nostalgia Podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye.